Hello everybody. Welcome again at Learning is Fun with Prajnaparamita. Today I am here to tell you how to develop your writing skill. So I have chosen how to write a letter. In your everyday life, you have to write lots of letters. Sometimes it may be an application, a job application, a letter of complaint, or a letter to some government offices, or so on. And in few cases, you have to write a personal letter as well. Letter to your friends and family, sharing your experience. And now I am going to tell you what are the difference between a personal letter written to your friend and family and the letter written to the government office or any other purposes. So in this video, I am going to show you all these things and different types of letters, that is the formal letter and the informal letter, and in each cases you have to choose your vocabularies and idioms so consciously, because while you are talking to your boss or your office member or your principal, your language, your idiom should be different to that of your friend or family or relatives. So let's see what are those points you have to keep in mind while you are going to write a letter to some official purpose and to some your family or your relatives or your friends anywhere. So in this video, I am first referring to that, what is the difference between these two types of letters and what are the vocabularies and idioms you have to choose for all these things, all your purposes. And beside that, there is a structural difference between the formal letter and an informal letter. So let's see what are those things. If you watch the video till the end, I am assuring you that you definitely able to write a correct letter using all these points together. Now let's see what are there. Here, letter writing. Letters can be divided into two subcategories. That is, it may be a formal letter, it may be an informal letters. So let's see here. Why do we write letter? You have to know first. We write letter because it is a mode of communication, share information from one person to another or one group to another group. Or it may convey a message, a request or a report about some situation. It may be a letter of complaint as well. So there are two types of letter in your life or in your daily life. That is, it may be a formal letter, it may be an informal letter. So let's see what are those things. A formal letter always written for the official purposes, while an informal letter or a personal letter always written to a friend or a relative or your dear and near ones. A formal letter is an application. It may be an application to the principal, the letter of complaining something or some situation. It may be a letter of request as well. But in case of informal letter, it may giving your news, your success or your something you feel not good or maybe it bad, asking for some suggestion or some advice. A formal letter may be a business letter as well. That is a request for service, information and action should taken, etc. And the informal letter may be an invitation. You may accept that invitation or you may decline that invitation. So you have to write all these things together. Now let's see, these are the division of the letters, the formal letter and the informal letter. Informal letter may be a social letter, a friendly letter, a notes of invitation, whereas the formal letter may be a business letter, letter to the government officers, a letter to newspaper about complaining something, some situation, or it may be a letter of application, that is a job application or anything else. Now, there is a difference between these two types of letter. What are they? While you are writing the formal letter, you have to choose the language and idioms very consciously. And there is no use of exclamation mark, and it is written in very formal language, whereas in informal letter you may use the common everyday language and idiom, and you may use exclamation mark there as well. For example, let's see the example. In formal letter you have to write these things: it is my opinion that, and we would be honored. Here, look at the sentence and idiom. It is more polite and more formal language. But in informal letter, the same thing you may represent like that: I think that, instead of it is in my opinion. In informal letter or in personal letter, you can write I think that, or it would be great. Here, choose the word and phrases, and the choice of exclamation marks is also there. You can use that thing in informal letter, but when it is a formal letter, never do that, because it is written in the formal language. Besides that, in the formal letter, you don't use the short forms. That is, you have to say I would, I have. But in informal letter, you may use the short forms like I would, won't, will, etc. These are the points you have to keep in mind, because while writing a formal letter, you never use the short forms. Similarly, there is lots of use of modal verbs, modal auxiliaries like would, may, could, etc. while you are going to write a formal letter. But in case of informal letter, you have to use phrasal verbs like getting on, settle in, etc. And formal letter is written in, you have to choose the passive voice structure while you are going to write a formal letter. But the informal letter, you have to choose the active voice structure. Those who have a problem of understanding voice, I have 2 videos about voice changes. You have to watch that thing. I will give the link in the description box below. Now, let's see the choice of vocabularies for the formal and the informal letters. Here I have given something. In informal, let's see here, in informal letters, you can say ask, but when you are referring the same thing in the formal way, you have to say inquiry instead of ask. Ask for request. In the formal language or formal letter, you have to say reserve, but in informal language, you have to write it book or something. You have to say verify for the formal, but for the same thing in informal, you have to say check. Similarly, receive becomes get in informal, provide becomes give in informal, assist is a formal way of speaking, whereas in informal way you can say help, request become need, and in formal language you have to say apologize, whereas in informal way you can write say sorry, give my regards, say hello to, inform, tell, repair, fix, comments, begin or start, in order, okay, thank you, thanks, beg your pardon, and in informal way it is what. So Try to memorize all these vocabularies, and it will help you to write a formal letter very easily. And also you can able to differentiate the language used in informal letter and in a formal letter. Now, here I am going to tell you first what should be the structure of an informal letter, because this is very important task you have to do for your exam purpose. Sometimes you have to write a personal letter. If you don't know all these points very clearly, you may make some mistakes and it will be very harmful for you to score number. Here you find when it is an informal letter, you have to write the sender address just at the right of the above of your page. Then you have to mention some greetings, thereafter the body, then the closing part and the signature. And here the postcard, there is a picture. You may find that someone is taking a postcard where the address should be written there. Now, what should be then for informal letter looks like in your exam paper? Let's see here. Here you find I have mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 points. What are they? Here, first, in the first point, you have to mention the writer's address, and in the second point, you have to mention the date. This is the important point you have to remember for the whole your life, because these are the important thing, the structure. Then you have to say as greeting or salutation. That is here the third point, my dear, the name is that. And the fourth point is that the body of the letter. Here I have mentioned some points which you can able to write in your body of the letter. What should be that? First, you have to start your letter in a proper way. Then you have to commenting on something. Then you have to move to the topic or what you are going to say. And after that, you have to end your letter in proper way. And finally, you have to leave a closing remark and your signature. All these 6 points are very vital. If you mention all these 6 points, you can score some marks. Okay, and there are the 7 point, that is whom are you going to send the letter. The receiver's address is written like this in the left hand side at the bottom of the letter. Now discuss in detail the points you are just doing in your letter. First, how should you start your letter? What should be that? You should start letter like this in your body part. Thank you for your letter. You can use all these phrases I have mentioned in this video, that you may start your letter like that. Nice to hear from you. How are you? How are things? Hope you are well. Now, after starting your letter in this way, you can say or commenting or responding to something. Maybe your friend give you some letter and you just responding to that letter. So what would be that there? Your last letter was a real surprise. You can write it like this. You can write also, what a wonderful news. Or you may write, I have just received your letter. I am so happy. Or maybe the letters containing some bad news. So you can say, I am very sad to hear that or to know that. I am sorry to learn or to hear that. So this is the second line of your letter. In the first line, you have to mention all these things. In the second line, you have to mention these and these things. Now, The next point is that moving the topic on. Now you are going to tell why you are going to write that letter. That is the purpose of your writing. What is that? You can start that line in this manner. Anyway, the reason I am writing. Or you may say that I thought I would write to tell or ask you. Or you may say, anyway, I was wondering, I would like to share some good news about. You can say all these things because this is the line. These lines may state the purpose of your writing. So in your body part, you have to mention first how to start the letter. Then you have to comment something, or you just to correlate something. Then you have to move to the main purpose of your letter writing. Now, comes to the ending part. What is there? Ending part is a very vital point of your letter also. There you may find I have given you the 2 points you have to mention there. The closing part or the ending part contains a final remark and a closing remark. That is, final remark should be hope to hear you from soon, or looking forward to your reply, write back soon, keep in touch, best wish, all the best, take care. You can choose any of these phrases or idiom to end your letter while you are writing a personal letter. Now the closing remarks. The closing remark is very vital. For your friend, you have to write yours friend, yours Weber, yours, etc. You can write or you can finish your letter by writing these things, and after that you have to put your signature there. These are the main points while you are going to write a personal or an informal letter. You may follow these things. It will help you to write a proper letter. Now I am going to discuss the format for the formal letter. This is something different from the previous one, from the previous informal letter. So let's see what are these differences. That is, here I have again mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 9 points. You have to keep in mind when you are going to write a formal letter. That is maybe a job application, maybe a business letter, maybe a letter of complaint, anything. Now let's see in detail. Here, number 1, the letter, you have to keep in mind the formal letter always begins from your left hand side. Each and everything you have to write from your left hand side. That is, number 1, the sender's address. That is who are writing. That is you. You have to put your address here. Then number 2, the date. You have to mention the date. And number 3, you have to mention here the recipient's address. That is, whom are you giving the letter, or to whom you are writing the letter. That is, the recipient address is mentioned here. After that, you have to mention a subject, what the letter is about. This is very important. Then you have to mean salutation or greeting. That is, dear Mr. Datta. Here I have mentioned that because I know the person. It is assumed that the known person, so I called him by his surname. That is Mr. Datta. Then the body of the letter. In case of the body of the letter for a formal letter, you have to keep in mind several points. Sometimes this is first you have to mention why you are writing this letter. That is the purpose of your writing. Then the body will contain detailed explanation. Why are you going to write this and your problem and what are that? Your detailed explanation is giving there. And the closing point is also very vital point for your formal letter. Why? Because it is very essential for you to end the letter in goodwill expressions. Okay, here, and then you have to write the closing part, and here look at the difference. In the previous one you have to write yours ever, yours friend, but here you have to mention sincerely, yours truly, etc. Then you have to write the signature, your signature, and here look at the difference. While you are going to put your signature, you must mention your designation. That is, where if you are a student of a class, you have to mention your name, then your class and section, etc. But if you are the manager of a institution, you have to mention the name manager and the name of your company. And here the enclosure part, this is very vital because each formal letter may be an application. For example, you have to choose some enclosures there, that is your CV. You have to put your CV, curriculum vitae, that is you have to put your mark sheet, certificates, everything are there, that are called the enclosure. And this enclosure part you have to mention by 1, 2 and 3, all these documents you have to attach in your formal letter. Now let's see some important phrases for the formal letter. First of the most important thing, that is the greetings. Because if someone is known to you, then you may say that dear sir or dear madam. But sometime in some offices you don't know who is the officer there, she or he. So you have to mention sir oblique madam. But sometime you may know the name or the person, so you mention the surname, Mr. Singh, Mr. Brown, etc. So all these are about the greetings, the dear, these and this. Now, how do you like to begin your letter? What should be the beginning of your letter? That is, you may start your letter with any of these phrases. That is, with reference to our conversation yesterday. Or you may say that thank you for your email regarding this. Or you may write, I am writing on behalf of something or someone. I am writing to draw your attention to. These are the beginning or the starting phrase of your formal letter, and choose that what should be your things. Now, it may be a making request. So after that, after a proper beginning, you have to write this type of things. Making a request, I would appreciate if you could. I would be most grateful if you would you be so kind? And I was wondering if you could. Here the important point, you have to see their use of modals are there. You have to use more and more modals in your formal letters. Now the formal letter may be a letter of apology as well. So if it is a letter of apology, you may begin your letter like this: we apologize for making inconvenience caused, that is these, or please accept our sincere apologies. Next, it may be, I have told you, the formal letter may be a letter of complaint. A complaint to a police station, complaining to a telephone office, complaining to any of your municipality, corporation, anywhere, any sort of problem. Here you have to begin your letter like this: I am writing to express my dissatisfaction with, or I find it most unsatisfactory that, Or you may say, I would like to complain about. So you can write these things or choose these things while you are going to write a formal letter containing your complaint. Now, the ending part, I have told you, this is the most vital part, and you have to keep in mind these things also. That is, I am looking forward to hear from you. This is very important because your letter, I have told you, this is a mode of communication. I have told you at the beginning of the letter slide, that is, as it is a mode of communication, you must ask for the response of the receiver of that letter. For that reason, you have to mention all these things. If you incur any further information, please do not hesitate to contact me. And please feel free to contact me if you have any further questions. So all these are the ending lines, should be the ending lines for your formal letters. Now, choose the proper closing phrases for your formal letter. That is, it must be like this: yours sincerely, only sincerely, or yours truly. So, all these are the discussion about the formal and the informal letters. I hope you like all these things, and if you listen it properly, you can understand and differentiate those letters. And in my next video, I am going to tell you what are the different types of formal letter, maybe a business letter or a newspaper letter, etc. So, no more today. Thank you for listening and bye bye.